All right, guys, so a quick breaking news story for everybody. And I just finished recording the show. There's going to be other segments that I did in the show today that actually touch on this same topic, but I wanted to do something separate real quick on it. Whoopi Goldberg was just suspended from The View, I think for 2 weeks, over some comments that she made about the Holocaust. Okay, so she effectively said, look, the Holocaust wasn't racist. Now, after she said that, and there was some discussion on the panel over it, I don't know what sparked the conversation, but she then did those sad publicity tours to almost do a mea culpa, to be like, I'm so sorry, I offended everybody and it won't happen again. And so she went on Colbert to do the cleanup job. And in the process of cleaning it up, she sort of just reiterated her point, which she clearly still believes. And then at the end of it was like, but I'm not going to talk about it anymore because you guys said don't talk about it anymore. Okay. So today, after her little mea culpa tour, the network decided we're suspending her for 2 weeks. And her co-hosts were apparently very upset about this behind the scenes. Now, there's a lot you can say about this. I mean, one point that everybody's making, which I understand why they make this point, is look, people in mainstream media are always calling for deplatforming and censoring other people. So now they get a little taste of their own medicine, and all of a sudden, a lot of people are melting down and supporting Whoopi. I just saw on Morning Joe, they were making the comment Whoopi's been on TV for decades. Everybody knows her heart. This cancel culture thing's getting out of control. Okay, fair enough, but they spent the days prior to it calling for deplatforming Joe Rogan. A lot of MSNBC hosts and CNN hosts, and maybe even Morning Joe in particular. I don't know. So it's just, don't hit us with a double standard that brazen, back to back, okay? Now, to be fair to the ladies on The View, and I just did a segment covering this, they actually sort of semi-defended Rogan in a way after he released his statement on the whole thing, and after Spotify put the banners up on the podcast to warn, hey, here's more reasonable COVID information. What they're saying is controversial, whatever. So it's not that The View ladies are hypocrites. It's more that the rest of mainstream media who might defend Whoopi Goldberg but support deplatforming Joe Rogan, they're hypocrites. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Now, here's my controversial opinion. You ready for this? The point that Whoopi was trying to make, if you interpret it charitably, is the Holocaust was about bigotry, was about anti-Semitism, was about a Nazi ideology and philosophy of rigid racial hierarchy. But it's not about race in the sense that it's not literally about skin color. So it's not like the Nazis hated the Jews because of their skin color, how dark their skin is. It didn't have anything to do with that. Now, look, you can make the counter argument, well, but bigotry and anti-Semitism, that effectively is racism, so we're talking about a distinction without a difference here. It's a weird point to make. But still, if you interpret the point charitably, you understand what she was trying to say. In fact, I think the most egregious point that Whoopi made was more look, it was basically white-on-white violence, this is y'all guys' problems, you figure it out. And no, because then you're sort of impugning, all white people, or having them own the fact that Nazis in Germany did a Holocaust. It's that has nothing to do with the overwhelming majority of white people, so it's weird to sort of say that's your guys' problem. That was the more offensive part. But the part that people are focusing on is that she said, look, what happened with the Nazis wasn't about race. I just think the point she was trying to make is that it's not literally about skin color. That the Nazis didn't hate the Jews because of their skin color. But the Holocaust absolutely was about anti-Semitism, absolutely was about bigotry. And look, it also absolutely was about the Treaty of Versailles and the conditions of degradation, which, again, it's so much easier to radicalize people when they are miserable and have no hope. And then when you offer a scapegoat, people go for it at 100 miles an hour. So all of those things are factors. But I do think that she shouldn't be suspended. Now, I'm no fan of Whoopi Goldberg for a number of reasons. She was vicious towards Bernie Sanders. And so there's so many criticisms to have of her. And I do have those criticisms of her. But again, look, I wouldn't have suspended her. I think if you interpret what she was saying charitably, she wasn't saying that what the Nazis did was good. She wasn't saying that it doesn't have anything to do with bigotry or anti-Semitism. She was just saying it is literally not about skin color because both the Nazis and the Jews were white. Now, there's another nuanced point is well, technically Jews weren't considered white. That is true. That is true. So there is nuance and complexity in the conversation, but I think that the interpretation that not only is she wrong, because again, her point is debatable, but that it's nefarious is like, no, I think that's a reach. So anyway, that's what's happening with Whoopi Goldberg. You guys know my take. I'm generally not for deplatforming or censoring, and even if somebody does say something horrific, like 99.9% of the time, it should be allowed, because the only things you should really take action for are the things that are actually like illegal. So, direct threats of violence, targeted harassment, doxing, libel, slander. But we should lean more heavily on the side of, even if you say something stupid, okay, say something stupid and let everybody pounce. So there you have it. They'll bring her back, but I get the point everybody's making about the hypocrisy of mainstream media, where a lot of these figures are going to defend Whoopi and already are defending Whoopi, but in the next breath, they'll be like, Spotify needs to do more when it comes to Joe Rogan. So there you have it.